All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with another one. Make sure y'all subscribe, all boxing, everything. We are back, y'all. We are here because we are one more night away from witnessing the biggest fight of the past decade. Errol Spence Jr. taking on Terence Crawford for the undisputed crown at 147. It's here, guys. It's here. We are one sleep away. I still can't believe it myself. I mean, I know we've seen everything. We talked about it. We've done videos, seen other people's videos. The All Access has been out there. The press conferences are there. We've seen the stare down yesterday. Everything is here, but it's still kind of surreal, man. There's something surreal about it because there was just so many, hiccups and bumps in the roads and, disagreements that kind of put this fight off and kind of put a lot of people off. But now that it's here, I'm hyped. I am hyped for it. I got that little, tingle in my stomach again. Those butterflies, which I haven't had in a while. Witnessing, one of these big boxing matches now. So having that feeling is a good thing because now it puts me in a place where I want to talk about the fight as much as I can. And I know I've been busy, but I've been trying to just kind of give out these little discussion videos, put out these discussion videos when I can, because a few people have been asking me about how I think the fight would play out, and I've given my perspective. I haven't given a full-on prediction yet. I'm not sure if I will in this one, man. But this question here is one that came up a little while back, and I wanted to come back and just do this video one more time before the fight tomorrow. So yeah, everybody's been talking about who's a stronger fighter, who has the better resume, whose fault was it? Was it Errol's fault or Terrence's fault on what kept this fight from happening so long? Like I said, I'm past all that now, but as we get closer to the fight and just watching these two work out and watching their actual fights, this question is one that comes up now because I think it's going to be a big factor here, after watching Terence Crawford knock out all of his opponents at 147 and just seeing the damage that the damage and the stoppages that Errol Spence has had, that he's put out in his W's. When you match these two up, you just got to wonder, in this fight, who's going to be the more damaging puncher in this fight? Who's going to deliver the most damage with their punch? And who, in general, seems to be that guy that delivers the most damage with their punches, And I think that to really decide on that, you just have to look at the effects of the punch and what it does to a fighter when it lands, how they react to it, and what it does after, after that round or after the fight. We're not just looking at power and precision. Of course, those are good things to have because they can end the fight quick, but I'm looking at, a damaging punch, that type of punch that not only takes a fighter down physically, but it carries over in the next fight or, later on in the fight or in the next fight. Because, guys, they get knocked out sometimes and they can come back because they just get caught and, oh, well, they'll learn from a lucky punch. Sometimes fighters, they can experience being gun shy, but overall they can come back. But some fighters who experience that, consistent beating and they suffer broken jaws, damaged retinas, busted eardrums, so on like that. That's kind of another level. It kind of all goes hand in hand with the psyche. Knockouts, they can cause fighters to be gun shy, like I said, and reluctant. But that physical damage, it can take fighters out. It can take them out on a hiatus, or it can take them out permanently. So when you look at Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, as far as who delivers the most damage, overall, well, first off, looking at Crawford, I think of Crawford is more an accurate puncher. I think he's that guy who looks for that sweet spot. He's that sweet spot puncher that sets up the perfect shots, whether it's to the head or to the body. Those shots that just rattle guys, that keep them in respect mode. I was looking back at the Sean Porter fight, once he started to get in his mode where he was establishing his jab, Crawford in that southpaw stance, he started delivering those hard left hands. You could see throughout the rounds, even the rounds that Porter was edging out, you could see the look in Sean Porter's face. There were times he didn't know what hit him, or he had that look in his eye, he was kind of weary of what's coming, he was trying to see, okay, is he going to hit me with that check right hook, or is it going to be that left hand, that slash left hook, left uppercut to the body, So Crawford, he's coming with that speed and that sting that just makes guys want to stay back because they're I don't want to witness that pain anymore. I don't want to witness that sharpness. It keeps guys honest. By the time they try to attack, Bud, he's already kind of like figuring them out. With one shot at a time, he might lose rounds. But then when he gets into that mode, he starts, landing the perfect punches because he's looking for more for punch placement to end fights. These guys, they're getting just beat up and they're getting put to sleep quick. They're not really like getting like a just straight up beating physically. He's hitting with these sharp shots where they can only take so much and they go down. So, I think a Bud is more like a stinging puncher. That stinging puncher, it's heavy hands, but it's still not like Julian Jackson power. It's kind of a combination of having some type of power. It's hard to explain, like some type of power, but it's also about turning over the perfect punch. And, Bud, he looks to turn over the perfect punch to end it quicker and get you out of there, right? So those are damaging punches because, of course, they can put you to sleep. And like I said, they can mentally shut you off, but they don't do the all-around damage of somebody like, say, Errol Spence Jr. I think Errol Spence Jr., Errol, he may not have knocked out every single one of his opponents or every single one of his last opponents, but Errol, he brings that type of power and thud, that type of impact that, shakes and breaks his opponents. It breaks them down mentally and physically. It's like a combination of both. Like I said, whenever Crawford hits you, he's kind of like making you second guess yourself. He's mentally breaking you down. Like it's not necessarily doing the physical damage. He might put some swelling on your eyes and this and that, but the way Errol delivers his power and his punches, he's mentally breaking you and physically breaking you at the same time. So there's really nothing to go to. Like you can't go to your natural ability and you can't go to your IQ now because, your brain is so rattled and you're worried about a broken eye socket or you're worried about, oh, am I going to be concussed for the rest of my life? That's what it seems like at that point whenever he's doing so much damage with that type of hammer power. Once you've been in there with Errol, you'll know you've been in there. Errol brings that hammer power that no matter how much you brace yourself for, it's going to do its damage. They say the ones you don't see hurt the most, but I believe Errol's punches hurt just as much, even if you see them. You know what I mean? Because, of course, the ones you don't see can knock you out. But the ones you can see, like Errol's punches, you can brace yourself and not get knocked out, but they'll still hurt. They're still going to hurt, whether it's on your arms or your chin or the ribs. It's going to break your opponent. And that's his whole thing. Like, if I'm not going to knock you out with this punch, I'm going to break something. So that pain will carry over, and you'll remember me in the next minute, in the next minute, in the next round, in the next round. That's how Errol does. Errol doesn't waste punches. He doesn't really pity-pat. Every shot he throws is going to have bad intentions on it. And he's making sure that in that line of fire, you catch that shot on your guard or you catch it clean. Errol might not set up the same traps as Bud, but to open guys up, he's able to break and chip away at the wall around them and just like break that guard down. And like I said, he doesn't really tap. He's actually like chipping away with each punch until he's inside. And he's hitting guys over and over and over until they can't see or their face or their body just gives out, like Ugas. Ugas tried to block a lot of those punches early on, but, he's hitting Ugas right up by the eye, right where his glove is. So the impact is traveling through his glove until eventually he puts that hand down and then he's hitting him clean. Or if the guard is still up, he's digging to the body. He's digging to the body with the same intensity because Errol believes in that power and saying, I'm going to get through, and the only way I can get through is by damage, keep on damaging and turning my hips into these punches and making sure that I'm turning over the perfect punch. So Errol, I think he delivers the more damaging punches because he's really throwing them things like sledgehammers. He's really throwing to break down the guard. And when he says he's breaking your will, that's really what he's trying to do. So in order to break will, you actually have to have that type of tool for the job. And that's what he has. Danny Garcia, he went on record to say that Spence is a strong puncher. He's got a strong jab and he hits strong. It may not be Julian Jackson power, but strong punches over rounds will break you. And then guys like Sean Porter, who got stopped by Crawford, he was in it for the whole 12 round with Spence, but you can see in the facial expression of Porter, when he ate Spence's shots that they hurt. You could tell that they hurt him too. Again, going back to Crawford taking on Porter, he was more mentally broken. To me, I don't think he was like physically damaged, but in the Spence fight, I know people will disagree. I think that Spence was on the verge of breaking Porter both mentally and physically. He put him down in the 11th round. It got back up, yeah, but he was still taking a combination of both. He was still taking a combination of both in that fight. But yeah, Crawford definitely no knock though, because the punches he lands, he's definitely going to end the fight. He's still going to end the fight too, the way he really puts his shots together. But I think, like, going into this fight here, Errol Spence, man, he is a damaging puncher, and I think one way that he's really going to have to get Crawford's respect is by getting him into that corner and really trying to break that wall down, that physical wall and that mental wall that Crawford has that's, so thick. Against Spence, he punches hard enough to make you witness it. You know what I mean? Like, when these guys have their guard up, you're looking, you see it coming, and boom, and it's just light enough to take you into the next round. You're not saying he's a light puncher, but I'm just saying, like, it's light enough to where it doesn't knock you out, but it does a lot of damage, and you feel it. And when you go into the next, you're like, oh, well, I'll be able to take the next one. Well, I'll be able to take the next one. I don't know. But you take that next shot. You're still kicking. You're still alive for the next one, but you just can't go on. He's breaking your will. That's what he does. Like, he doesn't just knock guys out. He likes to break them so they quit on their own. You know what I mean? And to me, that takes a special fighter to do that. It does, One shot KO, that's it too. That's cool. But in fighters, they should wish Spence would do that, like Crawford does sometimes, knock you out with one punch. But that consistent drumming of the same power from rounds 1 and on, the body can only take so much. So to me, I think that, Errol Spence, he's kind of proven to be more of a damaging type of puncher. Precision, Crawford all day long. Nice punch placement. That's Bud all day long. But the guy who likes to chip away with, like, sledgehammers, that's Errol Spence, because once he breaks your wall down and he's really doing, like I said, just enough damage to keep you alive for the next round, he's breaking your will with each shot. So, yeah, I would say he is probably the more damaging puncher, Errol Spence. And the evidence is there in his last 4, 5, 6 opponents, whether you're talking all the way back to Chris Algieri, to that junior middleweight he fought from South Africa, Vanderdeen. Danny, Danny has a great chin, but even Danny suffered, like, some, damage in that fight. And then Ugas, Kell Brook, right? So, yeah, he delivers the damage. I think that Errol Spence, he delivers that damage. But, of course, it's going to take more than that in this fight. But, like I said, people just ask who's the more damaging puncher. I would say Errol Spence is overall. Just like Gennady Golovkin. I think between him and Canelo in their fight, Gennady Golovkin is the more damaging puncher. All right, simple as that. But, yeah, guys, I'm about ready for this fight. Should I do a prediction yet? Maybe I'll come back for one more video to just go ahead and get the prediction out the way. Because this one I was kind of just going to go in and enjoy it because it's just too tense to try to put, I'm not betting on this one, but just to put that bet on it and just say, who's gonna get it this time? Spencer Crawford. I don't know. I really don't know. I'll maybe drop a keys to victory, then I'll slide into my slight favorite. I'll do that in my next video. I'll do that right after this, guys. Make sure y'all subscribe, all box and everything. I'm out. Peace.